We have a Coppola questions before we move on.
Where was Sarah when the bank was being robbed? She says that she was shopping when she uses it as an excuse for Bill and the other guys. Like, they were all shopping together, even though they didn't know each other prior to this morning or afternoon.
She's not in that scene, though, which she was there in the bank earlier. Maybe she was off or she was on lunch as well.
She just went to a different restaurant. Yeah.
Didn't go to the one restaurant everybody else in the town seemed to go to.
I was wondering where she was during that entire scene.
They needed to have her out of the scene because she needed to not know that they were the bank robbers, so she could figure it out.
She's like the one person from that household who isn't in that scene, though. Aside from the nephew guy,
which is once again super convenient.
He just conveniently disappears from the movie after he picks them up from the side of the road after their car flips, and then makes them sing Christmas carols for some reason. Yeah,
which that nephew almost still seemed kind of challenged a little bit too. Like, he's just a little bit too friendly. I don't know.
It's just a running theme through this whole thing that small townspeople are just a little stupid. Why? We kind of asked this while we were going through it, but why couldn't they have just left the money inside the bank?
Yeah, that was one of my three questions.
Because then this movie would not have ended.
Yeah, again, that's what I'm saying. It would have made sense if they just made the driving force that they were collecting the money for the church.
Yeah.
And that's what they stole.
Yeah.
And it would have made sense that they just give it back to the church instead of somehow making it some confusing thing about the Christmas fund for the town.
Sorry, what I meant to say is because then the movie would have just ended.
Just as the FBI showed up the way it did. And then the money would have been there, and then the three of them could have, just run away from the town, and everything would have been fine. Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, they could have still done that and then just have the mob guys show up, like, right outside the bank and catch them in the act of just leaving the money there, and then the mob guys kidnap them, and then you have sort of the same scene going on.
Yeah?
Yeah.
That would have worked. Would have made a hell of a lot more sense. Just leaving the money in the bank. That's the one thing I was like, why does it have to go in the vault? Because it will not be safe?
They could have just thrown it through the bars into the vault, because the vault was open. They just couldn't get through the bars.
Yeah.
So they could have just tossed the money through their thing if they needed to put it into the vault.
Yeah.
Yeah, which they didn't need to. They could just left it behind the fucking counter and locked up and left.
Exactly.
Nobody in the town other than them is going to steal that money.
Exactly, yeah. I mean, if the rationale is that they were scared that the money wouldn't be safe if they left it in there, they leave it on a doorstep just a few minutes later.
Yeah.
Anybody could just go along and taken that shit.
Maybe that's it. Maybe they were worried that Vic would come take the money if they left it anywhere else. So they put it in the one place they know Vic would look for it, which is the bank. Instead of, I don't know.
Well, I guess if they could have put it in the vault, I guess that makes sense. If they could have put it in the vault, they could have locked up and then they left, and there's no way that Vic would have been able to get in. Even if he broke into the bank, he wouldn't have been able to get into the vault. So I guess that works. It's as good of explanation as any.
But I feel like if he would have broken into the bank without the keys, the alarms would have been triggered, and then the FBI and the militia would have showed up.
I don't know why they weren't casing the bank already.
Yeah.
But, yeah.
Well, because nobody's dumb enough to go back to the scene of the crime.
Or something, it should have been somewhere. They would have agents stationed elsewhere.
Because clearly the Andersons were in on it. That's why they got to go home and have Christmas.
Right.
Yeah. Well, only half of them. Right? Because the wife, no, I mean, that's at the end, is the wife goes with them to the police station, but Sarah and Mr. Anderson go to the church.
Yeah, that's right. What the fuck?
What exactly are Bill's plans at the end of the movie? He's just like, I'll just spend a weekend here. I can take a bus home.
Straight, and he said he can work in a restaurant.
Yeah.
So maybe he's gonna go work at the restaurant that they just kidnapped a bunch of people out of and held a bank up.
Hey, once again in the NCU, this is his journey to becoming Robin Pig.
But ironically, he's not named Rob in this, but he robs people.
Ooh, touche! Look, it all ties together.
Yeah, the question should be how long is their relationship gonna last?
Exactly.
Obviously forever, dude. Yeah. These two were meant to be together.
They've known each other for a cumulative 14 minutes or so. They should be able to just make this thing last. Or maybe he just has one
he's
fun
Nicolas
weekend and then
Cage.
that's it.
What more can you want?
Then he goes home.
I mean, look, he's like her dad, so that's what she's looking for. I bet he told her the same thing. You can just call me Dad.
see my ring dings.
Which is also conveniently movies on the hub that I have not watched.
You want to see my ring dings and milk?
Scallions.
Scallions.
How long is the day? Which we've been going through the entire time. I guess technically the timeline works. If you just imagine everybody had been up for a solid 24 hours and done this whole thing. And that, everything worked out perfectly along a timeline.
Yeah.
I guess this whole thing could take place over a night.
I think technically it could work. But yeah, it's all over the place. And then the convenience of everybody still being awake at 3 o'clock in the morning.
Yeah.
There are so many just convenient things throughout this whole thing, like just running into people randomly. And Ed and Clovis just happen to be going by when they see them going into the Andersons' house, and so many little things like that throughout this movie.
The Andersons' nephew drives the Furpos back to the Andersons' house. When he first picks them up after they've had their car crash, he introduces them to the Andersons. Like, this is Bill, Dave, and Alvin. Furpo. Why did they give that guy their real names when they were hitchhiking with him?
I guess they felt like they didn't have anything to hide because they had been in the town already and people saw them. So
yeah, but they didn't tell
could be
anybody
themselves.
Their names.
Yeah, I guess.
It just seems like they're so stupid that they don't realize they could just give an alibi or a fake name, and it probably would have helped.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if they had given fake names, they would have had to have come clean at some point that they weren't the people that they said that they were.
Yeah, but giving their names is still they know that there's going to be people investigating. So if I don't know, that was just why did they tell these guys their names?
Yeah.
Also, if those names then got back to the FBI, they go run a search. They're gonna be like, "Hey, these two dudes literally just got out of jail yesterday."
Yeah, these two guys that got out of jail happen to be in this town where the bank got robbed. Think there's a connection?
They what happened? Why did they go to jail? Oh, because they robbed the car wash.
Yeah. And the cop was immediately suspicious of them after he almost ran over the deputy, his son.
Yeah.
For some odd reason. I'm not really sure exactly why he was putting an APB out on them. Because he said that there were tons of people in town because it's the Winterfest, but why pick out these guys just because they almost ran over his son?
Maybe because they were acting weird. I don't know.
What do you mean?
They were just passing through.
You mean the guy who talks like this the whole movie? He's acting weird?
I guess the other question is where the fuck did all these cops come from? It's a small town where they make a point that there's only 3 of them, and one of them's mentally handicapped.
I'm guessing
then they have a
the
whole
nearby
towns. Because there was a big bank robbery, so they lended the cops or the FBI brought more in.
But they were able to get through the blizzard.
Yeah,
I don't know. This is the whole. I don't know. It's just going into it. It's crazy.
They all came from Philadelphia. See, Philadelphia is not affected by this winter storm.
Touche.
Everything else.
And they don't need their cops. So
Yeah.
They definitely don't need cops on Christmas Eve. Yeah, that's the one thing I found weird. I mean, we already addressed everything else, but that was the one thing where I was like, this doesn't make a lot of sense. There's a small town where they make it very clear that there's not a lot of cops because nobody does anything bad, and then all of a sudden they have a state worth of cops in their fucking town. And they're all incompetent.
Yeah.
Other than even the helicopter pilot, he couldn't track them.
maybe it was like the cop or the helicopter pilot from Gone in 60 Seconds. He'd flying 30 feet above the car, and then he goes into a tunnel, and he's like, I don't know where he went, and then he just leaves.
I can't track him.
Once again, the airport. Once again, the NCU comes into play. He got promoted to LA.
Yeah, even the FBI guy who was undercover at the bus station just kind of disappears after that. He seemed like he was semi-competent, trying to get the one guy who has a huge duffel bag that would hold $275,000.
And they had cops stationed at the bus station expecting people to try and, flee the scene. So that made sense. They were kind of being competent there, but then they just disappear.
Yeah.
They allow these three idiots to run away and
They
not catch
conveniently
them.
disappear at different times. Like, they're not patrolling anymore when they ride the sleigh into the town, but they were just a few minutes ago. And, like, the goons fired off the gun, and the one cop just, like, drove out of town searching for whatever gunshots were happening, I guess.